From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hey guys, this is Big Boy over here in Alamogordo, New Mexico. So, about 2 weeks ago, we had 4 sonic booms, one right after another, which is a fairly common occurrence because we live right next to the Holloman Air Force Base and the White Sands Missile Range, where they frequently break the sound barrier and shut the highway down for missile tests. But what was weird was the timing. It was later at night, typically when they have a no-fly time. And I have a friend who works on the flight line, and he was working that night. And he said not a single plane had left the airway. And he also said the nearest airbase was in Albuquerque. And typically, if they didn't take off from here, they would have come from there and they would have had to have landed in Holloman unless they did some mid-flight refueling. But there was no one around. There was no planes taking off. And then right after it happened, all the military police were going around doing basically like street checks just to kind of quell some confusion. He was asking some guy, one of the MPs, what was going on. And he said, don't worry about it. And the first thing you think of when someone says don't worry about it is something suspicious. So anyways, thought you guys might like to hear that. Love the show. Take care.
Oh, we love to hear it, Big Boy. Man.
Sonic booms usually go like one after the other when it happens. Like, aren't they sometimes like big one followed by a smaller one?
It depends on the speed and the nature of the aircraft. They're overwhelmingly, but not always, caused by aircraft who are like the most who are the most common objects capable of traveling faster than the speed of sound. Also, shout out to Royce59. Boom. DJ Premier. Check it out if you haven't heard it. Matt, you especially would love it. Noel, you would love the beat too. Body better duck.
Ooh, I love a good beat.
Ooh, snap. Well, speaking of beats, let's talk about that percussive sound of 761 miles per hour being broken, which is the sound barrier, guys. It's an interesting thing that humans can create vehicles that can travel that fast, that can, they can do this feat, right? Create a sonic boom that sends out a massive pressure wave that makes everybody's house go just a little bit, can break windows. Sonic booms cannot be great for, structural integrity.
And I'm a big dummy. Sonic booms only happen once when the sound barrier is broken. So if there were multiples, it would have to be like multiple planes.
Or the speed could vary.
Yep, and happen multiple times because of acceleration and deceleration.
Oh yeah,
got it.
You'll see it often. I don't know if you guys remember watching air shows with like F-16s or some of the
Blue Angels
back in the day.
Stuff, right? Sure.
Yeah, I love it. But that's also you're raising a really important point there, because since like the early 1970s, it has been illegal in the U.S. to fly a craft such that it makes a sonic boom over a densely populated area. It's one of those rules that is so specific it feels like it's for billionaires. It's like Elon, please. Or Bill Gates or whomever was around in the 70s. They were like, don't fly these things over Chicago or whatever. But here in the fair metropolis of Atlanta, we were quite, there was a little bit of a controversy during the pandemic when the Blue Angels flew over this city. It was part of like a recognition ceremony, like a morale booster, and people were also asking valid questions about why this expensive spectacle was taking place. But in their defense, it was already a training exercise that was scheduled. So just bust that real quick. But Matt,
And the air shows are like morale things. They're almost like military parades. They're like a show of might in a certain sense, but also masquerading as like a fun family event.
And when a show of force like that is going to happen, or a spectacle like that is going to happen, there's an announcement. Hey, this is going to be happening. Generally, that's how it occurs.
Right.
Even when there are going to be sonic booms occurring due to the flights at an Air Force base, like out there at Holloman AFB, where our caller Big Boy is around, like in Otero County, which is right over there. Yeah. Otero County, New Mexico, right near the White Sands National Park, near the missile range and all of that. There will be a warning issued, such as the one that was posted on krwg.org, which is a local NPR station out there, affiliate and PBS station. They put out a notice on January 15th, 2010. This is just an example. They said, hey, officials with the 49th Fighter Wing have announced that Holloman, the Air Force Base, is hosting an aerial exercise involving a number of aircraft, and it lets you know when it's happening. It's going to continue this week until January 22nd, then in 2010, and it gives you details. You may experience sonic booms, and the sonic boom that was experienced on the evening of January 14th was related to the exercise. So letting, the people who live in that area know this kind of thing happened and will continue to happen. Well, something very similar occurred on January 25th of this year in a couple of places, not just in the area immediately surrounding the White Sands missile test area in the Holloman Air Force Base. If you head on over to alamogordonews.com, you can read the story, quote, "Sonic booms heard in Otero County were from Holloman Air Force Base night flights." And it's a situation where there was not notice given to the surrounding area. This is an after-the-fact situation where a bunch of people went on Facebook and Reddit and other places and said, hey, did y'all hear that crazy loud series of booms last night? And, maybe not everybody has a friend the way Big Boy does who happens to work at Holloman, who knows when flights are coming and leaving. So everyone was just freaked out. Well, at least in this case, on around January 26th, so probably January 25th, it was, in fact, at least according to the news and official sources, a series of night flights of F-16s that were flying around making big booms at night. Let me just give you a quote here from this article. Quote, "We did confirm with HAFB, that's Holloman Air Force Base, they are flying nights. If you see an explosion or fire, please call 911.
Jeez. Okay, get right to it.
No, it's a group effort. I like that. Involve your local community, right? So
post it on Nextdoor, like get the Air Force in there, just like posting on Nextdoor.
Nextdoor U.S. official post, hey everyone, fire last night. Can anyone tell us what happened to this jet? And someone responds, hey, because people on Nextdoor are always atrocious. Someone responds, hey, the real question is who is pooping in my yard?
I was literally going to say that, Ben, get out of my head.
Because I don't think it's the Chihuahua down the street anymore. It's just too big. I did the poop.
These
math.
poops are too big.
But this is important because like a sonic boom is something that we talked about this with the problem of satellite surveillance. A sonic boom, like a satellite, cannot at this point really be disguised. If people want to know about it, there's not really a way to hide it. I think sonic booms are pretty impressive because it's kind of cool that humans have reached that point where they can beat the speed of sound. It makes me optimistic about some workarounds for the speed of light at some point. But with this, like you're saying, Matt, due to the inherent transparency of a sonic boom. If you are around the area when it happens, you're going to hear it. Unless you are, unless you have a medical condition that has damaged your hearing, you're gonna know. You're gonna know something happened, and because of that, the people in charge or the institutions in charge of creating these sonic booms do have to, like, it is now in their best interest to be accountable for it.
I'm going to read a tiny bit more from the Alamogordo Daily News here. Quote, there were F-16s from Holloman Air Force Base flying over the Tularosa Basin last night around 9 p.m. that did produce sonic booms. The F-16s were flying in airspace at an altitude authorized for sonic events. And that's important because, again, generally when these things are happening, it's in a place where they should be happening, where it may lessen the impact on surrounding citizens, and at times, generally, that aren't going to impact the citizens. In many of these, like the late night booms that have been heard, not just in this New Mexico area, it is at different times. It is when there are not confirmed Air Force Base operations. Think about this. That same day in Tucson, Arizona, there were sonic booms heard. Now, in Tucson, Arizona, which is about a 7-hour, 8-hour drive from Otero County, from where the Holloman Air Force Base is there in New Mexico, we're talking 500, between 400 and 500 miles, depending on which route you take. Not as the crow flies. That's a long way away for a sonic boom to be heard. And it was happening at the same time, and there were the same booms. If you go to KOLD.com, which is CBS Channel 13 News, you can read the story, More Mysterious Rumbles Reported in Tucson Area. Now, whether or not you believe these are actually the sonic booms or not, that's up to you. I don't necessarily think they're related. There are people going to Facebook saying things like, quote, it sounded like something fell on my roof. It rattled my house. Another person said, quote, yes, I heard it, and it sounded like a boom, and it seemed like the top floor of my house shook. It also happened sometime last week, maybe Friday. There were just a bunch of people talking about this and giving their own experience of some weird booms that occurred in their area.
But a sonic boom wouldn't necessarily like have physical repercussions unless it passed directly over your house, right? Because it would require like a proximity effect.
Yeah, just so. The thing is, a sonic boom can affect, it can damage hearing, definitely. It can also, it can have physical repercussions. Think about how if someone has a rollicking bass system, you can feel it because you feel the vibrations. Air is a medium. Air is not a vacuum.
Right?
Right.
Like an explosion causes a shockwave that can damage internal organs if proximity is close enough.
Yes, correct. So in this case, we have some interesting stuff here, big boy, because it sounds like we have multiple confirmations. Multiple people heard this sound. It must have been close. Were it, or, relatively speaking, must have been close, were able to physically cause vibration. Does that mean that there is a conspiracy afoot? I mean, possibly, but again, we run into the problem of transparency. There is at this point not an effective way to hide a sonic boom if people are close enough to sense it.